My name is Phil Fitzgerald. I'm a senior program officer at the City Foundation. I've been there for 2.5 years, but I've been in philanthropy for the past 17 years. As a senior program officer, my job is to work directly with nonprofits. I always say I give away other people's money, and it's the best job in the whole wide world. So I work with nonprofits, help them figure out solutions and improve their programs, give them funding, and help them be more effective.
Was philanthropy something you've always wanted to do?
That's a big question. So no, philanthropy was not my chosen path. I came into it like most people do into this field who don't have family wealth by accident. So I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I grew up just outside the city, but moved there when I was around 10. And I didn't realize that I had a lot of opportunities that my neighbors didn't have, that kids across the street didn't have. Or kids I went to school didn't have. So that dawned on me at some point, and I realized I needed to not give back, but be a part of the solutions. It's my duty, right? I care about the city, I care about young people, I care about the future of this country, so I need to do my part, and that's really it. So I went to undergrad at Drexel University, and they have a thing called co-op. It's a 5-year program, and you do like internships during the summer as part of your study. And during my co-ops, I started working with nonprofits. And I thought it was great. And I started teaching English as a second language, adult basic education, and GED prep. And I was studying international area studies. And a friend of mine was like, well, you should go abroad and live abroad and teach English. So I did that. I did that for 2 years. I did that first in Japan and then in France. And then I came home and I realized I didn't really have much of a resume, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So like most people, I decided to go to grad school and I got an MBA at Temple University in Philadelphia. And they have this great program. They used to have this program called the International MBA program. It was a 1-year program. I did 5 months in France, 6 months in Philly, 1 month in Japan, and a couple weeks in China. And it very much spoke to my recent experience. When I graduated, I got a job at Nonprofit Finance Fund, which is a community development financial institution, which is like a development bank for nonprofits. And they had this program that supported nonprofit childcare centers. And I applied, got the job. 6 months in, someone was like, well, you know, you work in philanthropy now. And I was like, I don't have a monocle and a top hat and a cane. I'm not driving around in a Bentley or whatever. What do you mean I work in philanthropy? And slowly but surely I realized that, you know, so I was in charge of giving away money to these nonprofit childcare centers to help them improve their quality. And it was philanthropy. And it was great because I was supporting the communities I grew up in and neighbors I knew. I was giving money to make sure that children had a good start like I did, and we're on the right path. So that's how I got into it, and that was a long time ago, and that's how I ended up here today.
In your life or your career path, who specifically, whether like that's mentors, looped you into that field?
A ton of people, but I don't want to say it was hard to find, but I think a lot of people who are peers to me have been really helpful, specifically people of color, because they want to see me succeed and stay in this space, a space that's not really welcoming to men of color, because it usually sees people like me as something to be fixed or something to be feared, as opposed to part of the solution, I guess. So, I mean, I wish I had a list, but there are a bunch of people who have been really helpful in keeping me in the space, keeping me grounded, keeping me moving forward. And the thing that I've learned recently, and I think everyone should be doing this, is to engage a coach, someone who can help you figure out what your roadblocks are and how you can either overcome them or just confront them. So one of my roadblocks is public speaking. Like, I really am uncomfortable with having this camera on me right now. But my current coach is like, you know, this is something that you need to do. People need to hear your voice. People need to see your leadership and see someone like you doing this work. So get out there and do it. So I really have found coaches very invaluable, and I've had several.
What other like challenges have you faced in your career, and like the things that you keep in mind when it comes to like evaluating what your options are and how you want to prioritize in terms of making hard decisions?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think the biggest challenge for me has been access to roles. I think a lot of people see my resume and they expect one thing, and I show up and I'm a different person than they expect. So I think not fitting into a mold and being comfortable, like, this is who I am, this is what I am, this is what I look like, and being confident in you. So that has been something that I've had to sort of overcome and realize it's not me, it's really the culture of the place that I was looking to work. I think listening to myself, so that confidence I was talking about, so listening to myself and saying, does this feel right? Okay, if it doesn't feel right, is it just because I'm afraid? Am I scared? Do it anyway. If you're scared, do it anyway. Like that's silly, right? If it really doesn't fit with who I am or what I'm trying to accomplish. And I'll be 45 this year. I'm thinking about my legacy. I have 20 some odd years of work left where people think I'm relevant and will listen to me. So I'm thinking about what I can leave and how I can make sure that young people like you have an easier road if they want to go into philanthropy, for example. So yeah, I just try to center myself and listen and make sure it's not fear that is driving me, but really thinking about what my legacy and the world I want to leave behind.
What would you like say to young people like looking to philanthropy as a possible career option, or like how do you think that that field can be made more accessible to young people?
I think if you want to work in philanthropy, then you have to be passionate about it, and you have to be patient. I don't mean to be condescending, but a lot of people, myself included, wanted to come into the field and see change and things happen, but the system didn't become this way overnight. So the solution's not going to happen overnight, right? So we need to be patient. That's the first thing. And be passionate. Like, I really care about this work. That's why I'm going to do it. Because it's a job at the end of the day. It might be fun. I get to talk to you. I get to come to a conference, but it's a job. So you have to really care about what you do if you want to do this work. Around accessibility, that I think you have to have people on the inside who are pushing and encourage families and corporations and other people who have the resources to realize that people who are proximate to the pain, to the problem, people who have traditionally not had access should be part of the solution. And I think that that's the most important thing, really helping people realize, because at the end of the day, people who are philanthropic, a lot of them do it because they really care, they really want to change something. So I think it's up to people like me to help them see that they could be doing more to help be more inclusive, to offer more opportunities for young people from the communities they're trying to help.
What do you think is just like a final piece of advice you have for emerging leaders, whether that's like in your specific industry or trying to figure out what they want to do in their career paths?
So one, don't give up. It's not easy. It's not a straight line, right?
Yeah.
I can talk about my career and all this stuff and make it sound like a good story. Anyone can do that, right? It's not a straight line. It's never going to be a straight line. So don't give up. Change is slow. Progress is slow, but it's still progress. It is not enough to have a seat at the table and not speak, but sometimes if you're offered a seat at the table, sit at the table, and next time you're at the table, speak. Or next time, bring a friend with you, right? Like be willing to give it time, but also don't ever let anyone try to diminish you. It's not you, it's them, right? It's really think about who you are, what drives you, what are your values, and move forward from there.